Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer on hiring a professional aquarium maintenance company. If you've poured your time, your money, and your absolute passion into building a beautiful aquatic ecosystem, you already know that keeping it pristine requires way more than just occasionally topping off the water. You really need a pro. But how do you actually verify you're getting the real deal? Well, let's dive in and transform a hopeful hire into a foolproof interview. Look, we've all heard the saying, but choosing a professional aquarium maintenance company literally isn't just about finding the lowest price. Trusting an amateur with your incredibly valuable tank can lead to a total catastrophe. You aren't just hiring a cleaner here, you're essentially hiring a life support technician. We need a highly accountable partner.
So it all really boils down to this one big question. Are they treating your water like a science, or are they just guessing? We want to completely separate amateur guesswork from the documented, scientific care your tank actually needs. Because if a prospective tech is out there just eyeballing your tank's health, your aquatic life is totally at risk. We need hard data, not hunches.
To make sure you get that data, we've put together a 4-step interview playbook. We're going to cover 1. Qualifications and scope. 2. Water testing and docks. 3. Animal safety and emergencies. And finally, 4. Scheduling and contracts.
All right, let's jump right into step 1, qualifications and scope.
First things first, you've got to verify their actual background. Are they specialized in marine setups, freshwater, or maybe both? Do they have formal, legit training in water chemistry, disease prevention, and safe handling? And hey, this is absolutely crucial. You must demand proof of insurance and liability. Honestly, if something goes terribly wrong and your living room floods, you really need to know their financial safety net is securely in place.
Once they're qualified, you need to clarify the exact scope of work so you don't end up with completely mismatched expectations down the road. You want to clearly compare what's included in a standard visit, the basics like glass cleaning, top-offs, salt mixing, and substrate vacuuming, against what might cost you extra, like what happens when you need filter media replaced or equipment upgraded. Pin down exactly what triggers an upcharge so you aren't hit with a massive surprise on your monthly bill.
And please, don't forget the hardware. Make sure you ask exactly which of their daily tasks actually cover your equipment. Does their standard visit include proactive inspections of vital life support stuff, like your heaters, chillers, pumps, and UV sterilizers? A genuinely great partner is going to prevent mechanical disasters long before they start.
Moving right along, let's look at step 2, water testing and docks.
Listen, a true pro treats water quality as a highly measurable system. They never, ever guess. During the interview, they should be able to instantly rattle off their testing protocols for ammonia, nitrite, pH, salinity or specific gravity, alkalinity, and temperature. Honestly, if they just vaguely shrug and say they test the basics without naming these specific parameters, that's a massive red flag.
And you know what? Don't just take their word for it when they say the water looks good today. You need to demand post-visit documented readings after every single service. Real professionals track these parameters over time in a log, which gives you hard, undeniable proof of your ecosystem stability.
Because at the end of the day, a strong company explains the why, not just the what. When you're chatting with them, ask exactly how they use those test readings to make adjustments. You want a partner who actually educates you on the scientific reasoning behind their actions, not someone who just silently dumps chemicals into your sump and leaves.
Okay, let's pivot to step 3, animal safety and emergencies.
Obviously, when live animals are involved, strict protocols are everything. You need to ask them point blank how they acclimate fish during transfers and minimize livestock stress. And here's the real kicker. How exactly do they prevent cross-contamination? Think about it. If your tech just serviced 5 other tanks across town, you need rigorous sterilization to ensure they aren't bringing a parasite straight into your living room. It's literally like a kid bringing home a cold from daycare.
And what happens when things go wrong? Say your chiller just completely fails in the middle of summer. You need crystal clear escalation protocols. First, who is the designated emergency contact? Second, what is their guaranteed response time? And third, what is their exact execution plan to handle sudden parameter spikes or equipment failure? Having these specific steps defined is a huge indicator of whether they're actually ready for the job.
Finally, we arrive at step 4, scheduling and contracts.
So this is where we get into the pure logistics. Make sure you ask about their hygiene practices, specifically how they're disinfecting tools and hoses between jobs. You also need to firmly pin down visit frequency. Are we talking weekly or monthly? Plus, ask how they handle holiday schedules or crazy weather delays. Oh, and a true professional will even account for seasonal plans, adjusting for things like home temperature shifts, spawning cycles, and those dreaded seasonal algae blooms.
Then there's the money side of things. You really want to ensure absolute price and clarity before you sign a single thing. Weigh their pricing elements directly against the contract terms. Does their quote actually include labor and consumables like salt mix and specialty testing, or are those extra? On the terms side, check the contract length, firmly understand their cancellation policy, and ask if they have any quality guarantees. Transparent policies like this prove you're dealing with a legitimate business.
All right, last but definitely not least, trust but verify. Request references from clients who have setups really similar to yours. And don't stop there. Ask to actually see a sample service report or a water test log. Seeing their documentation firsthand proves they actually practice the science they preach.
So summing it all up, the ultimate question is this. Can your maintenance partner explain the why or just the what? If they're giving you vague answers or if they refuse to share test logs and references, just walk away. Use this playbook to ensure you find a genuinely accountable partner. So I'll leave you with this to think about. Is your current aquarium care rooted in blind hope, or is it firmly grounded in documented science?